Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. So, today we're going live with our very good friend, Wendy Meadows. She is an attorney and a mediator, and she's going to talk to us all about collaborative divorce. And our show this week is sponsored by Splitify, which is an amazing new platform that was built on AI and data so that you can choose data over drama when navigating your own divorce. So let me go ahead and see if I can let our guests in. Let's see. Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you for being here on a Friday. Hi, how are you? Hi, Wendy. Hello. Where is everybody coming from today? Hi. Hi. Okay, let me... see. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
I love your earrings.
Thank you. Thank you. And
They're a
because it's,
whole vibe for a
I
Friday.
try. I try.
Yeah.
This
No, I
was
mean,
my original outfit, but it's cold.
yeah,
It's
I
cold.
know it's snowing.
I
And
know.
it's so crazy because like the kids had, well, at least in my area, the kids had
Mhm.
off like the other day for rain and now it's like snow and they're not here.
And it's
I mean,
legit
they're in school.
slippery. It's legit
Yeah.
slippery outside.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So,
Mhm.
let me just wait for Bethany to get in and then we
No
will get
problem.
started.
Oh my
Hold on, let me
goodness.
see if she,
Mhm. Look at this amazing audience you have. I
I
see India,
know.
Australia,
I know. It's
Bethany,
incredible. I'm glad you can see the feed.
yeah, Virginia.
So, hi,
Hi.
Bethany. Happy Friday.
Happy
You
Friday.
guys are both such
All
a
right,
vibe with your green glasses and Wendy's pink earrings. I love
here we
it.
go.
I'm like all neutral here, but I love the pop of color on both of you.
And look at our friend here. Say hi, Gaia.
Oh, thank goodness she's here.
Oh,
She's the sincerely divorced mascot.
oh,
He's the
beautiful.
mascot.
I love
Yes.
it.
Yep.
We had a couple weeks ago, we had a live and she completely crashed the tripod. Like you can see in the live, like it just going down.
That's funny.
So we love her. But all right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started since everybody's here. So I'm going to give, so Wendy, like I said when I started this, Wendy is a lawyer and a mediator, and she's incredible and amazing, and she's also a good friend of ours. She has been, like I said, an attorney and a mediator for over 20 years. She's been helping families navigate divorce with more clarity, empathy, and less conflict, which we all love.
Mhm.
After starting her career in traditional litigation, she made a conscious shift towards keeping families out of court and guiding them to more collaborative, cost effective, and emotionally grounded solutions. Her approach is compassionate, practical, and deeply rooted in helping move forward in a healthier way. And we are specifically going to talk about collaborative divorce, which is something I learned about when I met Wendy. And she just has such amazing insight and amazing experience and just incredible energy and empathy. And she's also the author of an amazing book called Sparkle and Grit. Let's see if she has a copy to show us, but it was written for the working parent. So it's all about finding work-life balance and how to set up good habits and keep your work-life balance,
Right.
and not go
Complete.
insane because sometimes it's hard to do all the things when you're a working parent.
Or to go insane a little bit less, right? Because
Yes,
we're all still
yes.
gonna
Right.
Yeah,
we'll
we're
Right.
all
figure
going to have our moments for sure.
it out.
That's totally fair.
And I'm
Well,
also going to
I
shout
get to
out
ask.
Oh, I was
Oh,
gonna say,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
also gonna shout out Splitify one more time because they are our show sponsor. They
Yes.
are an incredible new divorce platform that uses data and AI to help you make better decisions about your divorce and kind of give you more clarity as you move forward. So we're really grateful for their support. And if you want to check them out, there's a link in our bio where you can learn all about it. And they are launching, I believe that they're in the process of launching a free account version, which is super exciting. So you can try it risk free.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're just grateful for their support. So,
Very
all
cool.
right, we're going to kick it off, Bethany.
Okay. All right. I get to ask the first question, Wendy. So glad that you're here because
Thanks.
we love you and we just have loved your energy from the beginning. So
Yes.
glad that like this is working. And also, I mean, the first question is the easiest because really it's just asking you, what is collaborative divorce and how does that differ from traditional litigation? And can I just say really quickly, one great memory was when you pulled out your chart.
Yeah.
When you
Oh
pulled
my
out
gosh,
that,
yes.
are you going to get it? I
Yes,
knew it. I knew
yes.
it.
Yes.
I
All
said, I
right.
hope she has that chart because that chart was everything. All right,
Oh my
take it
gosh,
away.
it
Beautiful.
was.
All right. So first, just and to sort of like set it straight. So collaborative divorce doesn't just mean that we are collaborative in nature, right? Like that is more like an amicable divorce. Amicable divorce is like when the parties come, they can do it pretty easy. We get divorced without a whole lot of like strife and emotional turmoil and funds being spent unnecessarily, right? So like so collaborative divorce is actually a very specific process. And I'm going to say what it is first, and then I'll like show you on my chart as well, the difference. So think of collaborative divorce. So like you're not in trial, you're not in litigation, there's not a judge. So it's not that. Like, and you also, when you do collaborative divorce, you sign a contract saying you will stay out of litigation. Like you will not file in court unless it's the very, very, very end and you're just like solidifying everything, but like you will not do anything in court. Um, it is also not mediation, and a lot of my work is mediation, and that's just like where I'm here with two parties, getting them divorced, et cetera, right? So collaborative divorce is a specific process. Everyone signs something called a collaborative agreement, and think of it as like, I think of it as like if you're getting your MBA and you have to do a group project, and we have this problem, we need to solve it as a team, and as a team, how are we going to solve it? So in the divorce, what that looks like, okay, as a team, we need to decide how we are, first and foremost, like how we're doing custody. What makes the most sense for these kiddos? And in the collaborative divorce, it's neat because you don't have the attorneys fighting about what happens. Right. Instead, you have a coach, usually like a mental health expert, and they meet with the parents separately without the lawyers to come up with a parenting plan. So the whole custody piece is taken outside of everything else. They have this two-on-one meeting with someone trained in this, like in trained in empathy and active listening and trained in child psychology and in child development. And that is the person making the parenting plan outside of like the divorcee process. So like that's sort of like happening over here. But then we're all at the table. We'll call it the collaborative table. Before COVID, it was in real life. Since COVID, it's all on Zoom, so it makes it much more effective and like easy for everyone to get to. But like each session, like we sign on, we have an agenda. We know what we're talking about that day, right? It is very like, hey, and we have to have an agenda before we start the meeting. So we have the agenda. We know what we're talking about. The person in charge of the meeting is that same mental health expert. So that mental health expert person who has made the parenting plan, they're also in charge of the meeting. So it's not, again, a judge, an arbitrator, or either attorney. We are letting the mental health expert be in charge. And then you have the two collaboratively trained attorneys and the parties. And we have these basically discussions over Zoom. They are both heartfelt and productive, meaning heartfelt in terms of lots of empathy going every which way, but also, okay, and what are we going to do? And what are the various solutions like we can come up with? And together we create like maybe 5 solutions to a particular problem. Let's say the house. Well, what do we do with the house? We say, okay, we're either going to keep the house and nest. One of the people are going to get that. Maybe wife gets the house, husband gets the house, we're selling the house, and we come up with the various scenarios. And then we go through everyone and say, could this scenario work? And it's either a yes, maybe, or an absolutely not. If it's absolutely not, we take that off the table and we look at the yeses and the maybes. Uh-oh, is she frozen? She's back. All right. So it's a neat process, and where it's different than litigation is like in litigation, I'm sure your listeners or your viewers, they've heard of things called interrogatories, request for production of documents, depositions, et cetera, et cetera. Like all these very legally documents basically saying, can you just give me all the retirement account statements, please? And the bank statements and everything else, just so we can have a full and fair disclosure and we can like trade information. So in litigation context, there's so much paperwork that has to go back and forth even to get the documents. Then the attorneys don't give the documents. Then you're fighting about the documents. And then there's one attorney, here who will complain. I know, like I might be giving too much information. I can like shut up, but I feel very passionately about this topic.
No, keep going.
It's like
Yeah, we love it.
the waste of funds that's spent on discovery. So there's one attorney in particular. So like, you know, when you get your bank statements, like the front pages are real, but the back pages are just like the imprint of the, I wonder if I have something around here. It's like the back page is just like nothing. It's just like their watermark, or it's
Oh yeah.
just nothing, right? It's
Yeah,
like M&T Bank located at Raven, whatever.
right.
This one attorney is known for, he's like, you only gave me the odd pages, not the even pages. I need the even pages too. Even though like the odd, there's nothing on those pages. And it's like
And
clear there's nothing on those
that
pages.
attorney knows that, right?
Of course, you know, but it's
Yeah.
churn, 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 churn.
Yep.
So I think the coolest thing I thought, like in my very first collaborative, there's two things that I noted for my first collaborative case. Number one, it was like, hey, we need the documents. Okay, here you go. You'll have them in 2 weeks. And in regular litigation, that will take 3 to 6 months. And in the
Oh, that's
collaborative
crazy.
process, they had it in a week. And it was like, here you go. Here's our drop links, like Dropbox, and we'll just link here and we'll link there, and here you go. So just like so we can spend the time on the actual issues as opposed to chasing down documents, which is just silly. Um, that was
Well,
the
I feel
first.
like it puts like a wall up too. Like you automatically like you know, you could be amicable going into it, but it's almost like when you go through the process, it kind of like scares you in a way because it's so mysterious and
Yeah.
so like, you know, it drags it out so much. So I love that the collaborative approach like
Right.
just takes a completely
Hmm.
different
It
you know, a
does.
completely different stand, a completely different
Hmm.
direction.
Right. And basically what we do is, we come back every 2 to 3 weeks, every 4 weeks until we're done, and then we finally get done and someone drafts the agreement, and then we can be done with the whole thing. The other part that I find really interesting and really different than litigation, again, it was my very first collaborative case. And I remember we're still in person, we're sitting at the table, and I'd met with my client multiple times. I had the husband, and I knew what he wanted, and I knew his impression of his wife. But being at that table and having the five of us around the table and getting to look at her in the eyes and see that she is a human being and a person and not just the opposing party, right? Who kind of were trained not to go after as attorneys, right? We're trained to go after the opposing party and like paint them in this bad light
Yes.
or in it. And just like seeing her as a person, also seeing the dynamic between her and her attorney, the dynamic between her and my client, her husband, I was like, oh, this is what's going on. Like you could see the undercurrent of everything else. So then I could better advise my client. I'm like, hey, I kind of think this is happening. And if this is happening, we need to make sure that we do X, Y, and Z, or that we support her in this way. Or, hey, I'm getting the impression that, oh, this doesn't matter, like over here what we think matters, but like it's really this other thing. And I think if we can approach it from this place, it'll be a better settlement and it'll be a better result and like better for the two of you going forward. So it humanizes it, right? And like you said,
Hmm.
it doesn't allow people to stand behind that wall, like
Yep.
put the wall up, because like the wall is like scary, but the wall is also it takes the human out of like it.
Yeah.
The walls take the humanity out of it, and I think that's one of the biggest problems with litigation now. It's like we forget the humanity and we forget that
Yeah.
people are people and people are human. So
Yeah.
I just
Well, there's
gave
so
you a
much
lot of information.
defensiveness, just so much defensiveness
Mhm.
that like maybe wasn't there before. And,
Mhm.
you know, all of a sudden you kind of feel like you gotta like, you know, put on this armor that maybe you didn't even think that you needed.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
I think
So
this is
yeah, that makes
amazing.
sense. So
Yeah.
I guess to recap, just because like I know I've kind of talked a lot. So and this is, I know I saw a lot of your listeners too, your listeners, what how they do it is like direct. Let's see, we'll call it. I'm looking at this, make sure this right. Yeah, yeah. So direct is just like the parties, like mom and dad, husband and wife, they're talking at the kitchen table. Like
Right.
they talk and talk and talk, they figure it out. And sometimes they can figure it out without attorneys. That makes me a little bit nervous if they're not consulting with attorneys, just because there's things that they can protect themselves, like tax wise, asset wise, other things they may not know. And or one party might be manipulative of another party. We don't know. But anyway, so that's direct, right? The parties are talking and they're getting advice from the attorney, if you can see it that way. So parties talking, advice from attorney. Mediation is similar, where the mediator, so that's also a role I wear a lot. I'm talking with the party. So the three of us in this triangle, we're talking on any particular Zoom or in-person session. And again, those parties then go back to their attorneys for advice, right? Now, the other extreme, and then we'll come to collaborative at the last. The other extreme is this showing up on the right way or is it flipped?
No, it is. Yeah. I was
Okay,
gonna
good.
ask too, do you have this posted somewhere that we could share after the live or we could link to? Because I think it's
Probably.
really like the visual is amazing.
Probably, and if not, I will quickly draft a blog post and throw it up on my.
Okay.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for letting me do that.
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
Yes.
So this is court. This is what everyone thinks of when they think of family law. So that's the judge. That is the lawyers arguing to the judge, and the parties are in the back. Like literally, they're in the back, and they are. It is. Oh, I think it's flipped for your viewers. Here, let me look at.
Yeah.
If I do it that way, oopsie, that didn't work because I just showed you.
Well, we are going to
Hopefully,
post it somewhere else. So
okay,
I
so
mean,
work.
after the
Yeah.
live,
Okay,
we'll put a link out. So just
perfect.
keep an eye out.
Got
Stay
it.
tuned.
Okay, so like again, it's interesting, right? Because this puts the parties in the back seat, right? The
Right.
parties aren't the ones driving the bus. The judge is the one driving the bus. Then the second hand lawyers, parties in the back. And this is sometimes important. I'm not going to say litigation is terrible for every case. There are some cases that need litigation. I just
Right.
don't think all of them. Here then is the opposite of kitchen table discussions, but that's where the attorneys are arguing with each other and they're representing the parties over here. This is what I call a really bad game of telephone more often than not, because this parent might say something, they say it to their lawyer, it gets misinterpreted, misheard, and then it's said from here to here, again, misinterpreted, misheard, and then to here, and they're like, what? And again, all of a sudden they start wearing this armor that they wouldn't have had in the beginning because it's a really, really bad game of telephone, right? Then collaborative, what we're talking about today, this guy, see, everybody's talking to each other. Like, look at this. Yeah. Mom and dad talking to each other, lawyers talking to each other, like every which way, like the lawyer gets to talk to the other party, the party gets to talk to the other lawyer. And like we are all hearing the same thing at the same time
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
coming to a resolution together. So I'll make sure this chart is available somewhere so you all can have it too. But
Thanks.
that's, do you see how different it is? It's like
Yep.
all coming
It's
together.
Yeah.
yes.
No, thank you for doing that. And like one question that just came to mind as you were going through it, like I know, a lot of people with kids will use collaborative divorce, but I imagine like you don't have to have kids, right, to like
Mhm.
benefit from this. So can you just, I guess, talk about maybe some of the more practical pieces, like, who have you seen use it? How
Mhm.
long does it typically take? And like maybe how much it costs? Because when we start talking about like all the people that are involved,
It's crazy.
one's mind is like, okay, so each of them have an hourly rate, or like how is this all managed? So those like
Yeah,
kind of details,
great
can you
questions.
talk about that?
I think the best case for a collaborative divorce is if like someone owns a business. So when someone owns a business and they're not a typical W-2 wage earner, and we're trying to do a couple things. We're trying to figure out what the business is worth. We are trying to figure out how much income that is shooting out of that business to the business owner, so we can get an accurate depiction of what their income is. You know what? So we can figure out alimony and child support easier, better, more fairly and accurately. And the comparison contrast in litigation, each person would hire their own independent financial advisor or person expert, right? And then it's the battle of the experts. So talk about money. So we have two experts, and then both of those experts need to be deposed, need to testify, and then the
Right.
judge has to decide which expert's like more trustworthy, or split the baby and find something in the middle. In the collaborative process, you hire one. So you have a financial neutral, and they're a neutral. So they are looking at this just like they're looking at a math problem, right? They're not trying to like put husband up or wife up a little bit more. They're looking at it like a math problem and what feels fair and like how they would approach it in that way. So I think it's a great case for that. Maybe in a case too where there's multiple financial accounts that are a little funky, it could help there. For a basic divorce that's just like, hey, we have a house, I have a 401k, you have a 401k, it's probably overkill for that process.
Yeah.
Unless we have a really interesting house situation, it might be overkill. I'd say it's probably for the more dynamic property situation that's not run of the mill. Oh,
Hmm.
or what would be great for is if the couple owns a business together too, and not so they're trying to do two things. Not only are they trying to get divorced, but they have a business divorce in there too. I
Yeah.
think that would be a great place for collaborative, right? Because that way we're making sure the business is not sinking and dying, and they're killing their assets and income, right? But it's a way for them to
Right.
like make sure they're protecting what's serving their family as well. I'd say in complicated custody cases as well. If there's a complicated custody case, collaborative divorce could be good there too. All right, so cost. So it's more expensive than mediation, but it's less expensive than litigation, right?
Okay.
So I could probably use my chart again to sort of explain like which. clearly like mom and dad figuring out stuff on their own. And again, if it's like a really basic agreement, like, and pretend they have no assets, like no assets, like nothing, then probably this is easy, not very expensive. Or maybe they each have an attorney like review the agreement, make sure it's good. This could cost as little as like $500 per person, really. Like
Mhm.
not so bad. Mediation, mediation typically is, at least they're splitting that cost, right? So mediation is typically, if they can be done in 3 sessions and have, or like to say 2 sessions, have someone draw up the agreement, maybe you're looking at $6,000 ish. These are like very rough numbers off the top of
Yeah.
my head. So mediation could, or some mediations could be like $3,500. Like, hey, we just need to get 1 session, someone drop the agreement, we're good. I'm going to go over to litigation. Litigation, easily, if you want to dump $100,000 in away, easy. I've
Oh my
seen
gosh.
many, I say middle class families. And this is even just like the rich people. Rich people, at least 200 grand, at least, right? If not more. But when I say upper middle class families, right, who each hire a good lawyer, but they go through this whole pomp and circumstance of litigation. Sometimes it's necessary. They're spending at least 100 grand in fees. I've seen
Ugh,
it multiple times. And and it's because it does cost that much, right? Because think of
yeah,
like all the telephone, think of all the things the lawyers have to do also to make sure that they are doing their job correctly, right? To make sure that they are doing their due diligence, how expensive discovery is, especially if the parties are fighting. Like, I'm not knocking, I mean, I've had to charge that much in cases, right? So I'm not knocking it. It does take up that much time, but it takes a lot of time. Collaborative is probably more, you can be in and out in 20. Again, so it's for the people who might have the assets to spend or assets they're trying to protect. Um, and it will save them. It seems expensive, but it's still way cheaper than litigation,
right.
especially if things are a little bit messy. You don't have to love each other to be collaborative. You can't hate each other, but you don't have to love each other, right?
Like
You have to be able to
what
be on the same
level,
room.
right? What
What?
level of hate is, is
Right.
that just, I mean, yeah, we don't have to love each other though. Like clearly there's
You don't
no
have to
love
love
there.
each other,
Right.
Yeah, and
right?
actually, this is a good segue into somebody posted a question. I pinned it on the chat.
Mhm.
Does collaborative divorce work if you already have a legal case against your spouse or a restraining order?
So ish. So if there's already a legal case, if there's like a divorce case is already pending, you would have to
Hmm.
pause your divorce case. You would have to stay that. So the court would know, hey, we're in the collaborative process. We are staying this case. It needs to pause or someone withdraws their suit. Well, because you can't have a collaborative case and a divorce litigation pending at the same time. Like
Okay.
it's not allowed, right? And it's to keep the integrity of the collaborative process because we know no one's running to court, right?
Right.
With regard to a restraining order, I'm curious about the terms of the restraining order, but it probably says no contact. So the way it would have to work then, it could still work, but I would say that we'd have to have shuttled. It would be a Zoom room situation where like they'd be in different Zoom rooms. And that honestly is probably more appropriate for attorney-led mediation. I would say if someone has a restraining order, someone but still wants an amicable divorce, what I would prefer them to do is hire an attorney and ask for mediation because mediation is still cheaper than litigation, and that can still happen while a divorce lawsuit is pending. It might be better for that person
Okay.
that way.
Yeah, and it looks like the person said that it's a no contact restraining order. So
Yeah, so I would
that
say
would,
we wouldn't want to hurt the restraining order or
right.
like say like anyone has violated it. It would have to be, but mediation is still appropriate in those circumstances, just with the parties in separate rooms.
Okay, perfect. And then we had another question that popped up. What if the ex-partner can't afford a lawyer and the other one has one? How does that impact like the ability to participate in it?
Oh goodness. Well, so I mean the same as litigation, right? So
Right.
in litigation, if only one person can afford a lawyer, either you're going into litigation with one person represented and the other person unrepresented, and the courts know how to deal with that. And
Hmm.
if someone wanted to do it the collaborative, and but let's pretend one person has a because I had this case. When my first case, my client had all I've had several cases where my client had the money, like they were the income earning spouse, and they
Right.
paid for it. What I appreciate about both of these gentlemen in particular, their husbands, dads, and both of them, they went into the process willing to pay for collaborative because also these are businessmen, right? And businessmen looked at this and realized, okay, it makes more sense for us to do this collaborative than fight in litigation. I will spend less money this way. We're still going to get to a fair result. And what I appreciate about these men too is they went in knowing they're going to pay alimony. They knew it. Like, of course I'm going to pay alimony. I know they're getting assets. Let's do it in the smartest way possible. And they footed the legal bill. But can you force someone to foot the legal bill in collaborative? No.
Yeah,
Litigation, can you? You can ask the court for fees. And it depends. It depends what the income disparity is. It depends. But I would say mediation collaborative, if someone does have more money, then usually they offer to pay for it.
got it. That makes sense. Yeah, it's just so there's so many moving parts in any way you go, but collaborative, at least it feels like everyone has a seat at the table, which, I appreciate.
Yeah.
And now, do you know, this is a question, like, because I know, by state, is it available, and is collaborative divorce like some version of it available in every state, or how does that work?
It should be. So really the parts that matter is you just need to make sure you have you can only do it if you have a collaboratively trained attorney.
Okay.
So collaboratively, it's hard to say collaboratively trained. We've done, I think it's a 40-hour course. We understand the ethics of collaborative law. We understand what we can do, can't do, and the cadence of a case and how it works. So one of the rules is you have a collaboratively trained attorney. And I believe we have them in all the states and all like multiple countries as well. Um, what frustrates me, and I've seen people do this, and this is not collaborative. Someone says, "Oh, I'm going to do a collaborative mediation. This is a collaborative divorce mediation." That is not a thing. That's
Okay.
that's not a thing. But like, and I got a marital settlement agreement a couple years ago, and she in the agreement it said it was a collaborative. I'm like, how? No, it's
Right.
not. It's a very, very specific process. Like it is
Okay.
just like court is a specific process, this is as well. But yes, it should be available in every state. And I think it's IACP. I want to say it's IACP. I have to Google as I'm saying it. You can find a collaboratively trained attorney in your state on that website. I'm making sure that's the right one.
Perfect. I just dropped it, IACP, the acronym, in the chat.
Yes, it's International Academy of Collaborative Professionals. So you could find all the various, if I can probably drop that in the chat too. Copy. Let's see if I can do that.
Oh, perfect.
Paste.
Let's see. Yeah, no, I think the whole process is fascinating. And
Computer.
like,
Yeah.
uh, let's see. Um, and I like when I start, oh, there it is. Yep, it popped up here. I'm gonna pin that so that people can see it. Um, Sorry, can't do too many things at once. But no, it's going into divorce, especially like if you haven't been because I know from like just speaking from my own personal experience, divorce was kind of something that kind of just came out of like I don't want to say the blue, but like the process like started a lot quicker than like I could have anticipated. And so I had no idea about any of this. Like, and your first thought when you're going through divorce is, oh crap, I have to hire an attorney. But like really what I've learned, going through my own divorce and just, the things that we've learned like through running this community is that you really don't need an attorney like at all the time. And that there are other ways. And I don't say it's probably advisable, but like there are alternatives to like the traditional sense of like going to court and
Right.
Yeah.
having to have an
Yeah.
attorney.
Like it's not what people think of. It's not
Right.
what like society has led us to believe that every divorce is high conflict. Every
Yes.
divorce
True.
is going to have some like, cutthroat
True.
attorney or something along those lines. I mean, like that's what comes to mind, but
Yes.
yeah, there are so many different ways to approach divorce.
Right.
But we don't talk about all of those ways. And
Hmm.
again, why I love the chart, why we love Wendy, because like you have the ability to also see it all. Like I think one of the
Yes.
really beautiful things that came out of your explanation, right, in answering those questions is you saying as a collaboratively trained attorney, no, you know what, this requires a mediator.
Hmm.
No, actually this is better for this, so like it broadens the understanding of what is best for the client, because someone who's not collaboratively trained or not Wendy S. Meadows, right, might not say that. They might just say,
No.
okay, well, we're just going to bill you $300 $400 an hour because, even though they know deep down inside, they probably could do this at the kitchen table, or they probably could do
Right.
this way. But there are some people that are, just gonna are not going to say that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, unfortunately. And I will say, if I had my way, everybody would at least have their agreement reviewed by an attorney just to know you're not missing anything. Because,
Yeah.
like, an attorney, because we know I've been doing this for 2 decades, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. So I might read someone's agreement and everyone thinks it's super fair and super fine. I'm like, well, did you realize this? Like, oh, I didn't know that, right? And I've seen
Hmm.
people lose a lot of money, like not knowing how to transfer retirement assets or not knowing what you're allowed to do with transferring retirement assets. And I say, well, you can do this. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, no taxes, no transfer fees, no penalties. Oh, I didn't know that. And so I've seen people hurt themselves on accident,
Yeah.
financially. So I would, if I had it my way, everyone's at least having someone look at it. And there's a lot of attorneys that will do that. Like you can go in, have a 1 hour consult, say, please look at my agreement. And like it's like unbundled, like they don't have to be your lawyer forever and ever. You're in and
Right.
out and done, right? Um, but unfortunately, there are attorneys out there who scare the client. They scare the client when they come in, and I don't. It's probably because they got burnt in a case before, and they see that in every case now. But they do like overcharging, or my pet peeve is when attorneys file pleadings that, like, for example, like I'll do a little baby lesson, at least in Maryland custody law. You can't modify your custody agreement unless there's a material change in circumstances, right? So you can't just say, oh, I feel like modifying custody because, and I've seen an uptick in attorneys filing modification of custody requests, so it's a petition to modify custody when there's been no material change in circumstance. And we have this huge, huge fight, right? So now everyone has a lawyer, people are fighting, it'll get to the court, and the court, so this is what, $20,000, $30,000 later, the court will look at it and be like, people, there's no change here. I can't do anything. So that's something that makes me frustrated and angry. So again, like if someone wants a baby peek at their case, like consulting with an attorney for like half hour, going the mediation route. Um, I know that's not really the question asked, but that's what's been bothering me this
Yeah.
month. So that's what's happening.
Yeah, no, it's all part of that divorce stigma, right? Like it's all
Yeah.
part of like that, just the unknown of it and just like the like Bethany said, the societal expectations of like this is how it has to be when you get divorced. And so I
Right.
love that people like you are just spreading the word that it doesn't have to be like that and it can be like a more collaborative, less dramatic and traumatic experience.
Yeah.
um, but you're also realistic in like who it's for and who it's probably not for. So
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
um,
And so, one other question. So, for the website that you pinned about like the collaboratively trained professionals, so everybody that's at that table, again, like including the
Financial
counselor
neutral.
and the
Hmm.
financial neutral, they all are having that training as
Yep.
well. So, for instance, with financial pieces, and this is where divorce truly does get overwhelming.
mhm,
Say you have a CDFA, right? You have a
Mhm.
certified divorced financial analyst. They're not necessarily financial neutrals, right? That like they
Um,
could, it would be a separate sort of credential to be collaboratively trained, right?
yes. Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
And we
We
have those. Like we have CDFAs that are collaboratively trained. But yes, you
okay.
have to have, it's a very special way of doing
Yeah.
family law, right? So yes, all the people, professionals on here, and also like real estate agents too, actually. There's real estate
Oh,
agents that have been collaboratively trained. I'm trying to think.
really?
oh,
There's
okay,
appraisers.
interesting.
There's real
Okay.
estate appraisers collaboratively trained. There's mortgage brokers collaboratively trained, right? And
Wow.
there's different chapters. Like there's several Maryland chapters, but we have a Baltimore County chapter. We meet like at least every other month ish, on average. And it's a big group of like all those people and we talk. And like the hardest thing for us is to spread awareness about collaborative law. And this is why I'm so excited about this, I'm gonna call it podcast, about this like podcast, because hopefully more people will just know about it because people
Hmm.
Yes.
don't know about it. And it's like I think we need some more
It's
commercials or
unfortunate.
something.
Yeah, you do because like it's incredible. Like and just because I mean knowing that all of these people are at the table or potentially could be at the table, it's just like, you know, that's one of the biggest
Mhm.
headaches with divorce, right? Is like just all the different like all the different funnels and all the different
Yes.
paperwork and all the different people that need to know and it's just
Mhm.
so confusing and so
Yes.
overwhelming.
I thought of another answer to your question, like who is it best for? It would also be, I think, good for like the situation where we have housewife person, and then like major income earner husband. So like major income, and I know I'm painting with very broad gender roles, and I apologize. It's just easier this way sometimes. But like husband that makes a lot of money, has been supporting the household, housewife, right? And she doesn't know much about the assets. She needs someone to guide her. We also all recognize she does need to go back to work. Like guys, like going back to work, you'll actually make way more than alimony 9 out of 10 times. Like let's be sometimes just need to get back to work. Like getting back to work, like so like in the collaborative process, we can say, okay, let's look at our assets a little bit differently. Let's split assets so she can go back and get her nursing degree, or she can go back and get this degree. And okay, we need to retool custody for while she's in school. Okay, and then when she's out of school, we're going to retool custody again, and we're going to make alimony be this and this and child support, and like, but we're going to have this framework to make sure she can get back on her feet. She is working, like she has rehabilitated herself income wise. We have a plan for the kids, we have a plan for the money, and we're deciding with family resources how we're best going to help her. Right now, the benefit, the husband's like, well, why did I do that? Right. Well, he would want to do that for two reasons, or several reasons. It's cheaper than litigation, but also he will know like they have established a process to help him get her back on her feet. And maybe that means in the long run, he's paying less alimony. Like, yes, maybe contributing to her education, but maybe less alimony out of his pocket. So like, that's another good example of, or if we have the flip side, of who it would be for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I guess I would say, I mean, I imagine you've seen this, but I would love to hear you talk about it, like this, how this benefits the kids. Because Hillary and I were just talking, yesterday about, some really contentious relationships that we know between, exes and there are circumstances, and there's lots of emotion, and there's anger, and there's rage, and there's all of those things.
Yeah.
But what an example this could set for children, knowing that your parents participate or have participated in this collaborative process. Like, can you compare, contrast maybe what you've seen? And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And I'm trying to think in my experience too, is I will still be in court when I'm representing a child. So I don't know if we talked about that. I'm still a best interest attorney in the state of Maryland, so I
okay.
still represent children. And I can tell you, my kid clients are always happy. Well, I'm going to answer your question off by answering your question, but
Yeah.
I'll just get there. All
Sure.
they want, and this is good for your listeners, right? All my kid clients want, right? Because I'm their best interest attorney or I'm their child advocate. So I do have to ask them their preference, and I'm careful on how I ask that, but I do need to know their preference. All they want is for their parents to get along. They usually don't care what the result is, like, especially if parents are arguing over this school or that school. Very rarely do the kids care. Very rarely. They're like, I just want my mom and dad to make a decision, and I want them to stop fighting. That's what they want more than anything. Like that matters to them the most. Um, but when the kids know that the parents are talking, I see one of two reactions. They're either like, "Oh, phew, thank God," or they look really freaking scared. Like, "Oh God, mom and dad are talking. Like this can't be good." Um, so in the collaborative process, I think could be cool about it, right? If it's setting the norm, and the norm is mom and dad are talking to a parenting coach. Mom and dad are talking together to do this, and we are doing it together, and that they see and hear kind of the language, not, oh, mommy and daddy are going to court or talking to the judge. Instead, what they're hearing around the house is they're having these group meetings. I do think it sets the scene differently for them, right? Because that's their norm. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Yeah.
It's a great answer. Great. I mean, and that wasn't, we didn't plan. I just was popping off. Like, it just occurred to me, that it could be a teachable moment, right?
Yeah.
But in this process, listening to all of the people that have been collaboratively trained and with the ethics agreement in mind, it's even shifting the way the parties are talking about the process, which
Right.
I'm a big language nerd just in general, but the words that we use are so important. And especially when talking about really delicate matters like the dissolution of a marriage, and parenting beyond that. So
Agreed.
I imagine for everybody, there's a teachable moment component of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
very
Agreed.
cool. All right,
Yeah.
that was it.
Mhm.
Sorry, I just popped off.
Yeah.
It's a great
No,
question. Mhm.
before we wrap up, I just want to ask you one more thing. Can you share a little bit more about your book, Sparkle and Grit, for anybody that might
Ooh,
be interested?
sure. So here it is, Sparkle and Grit. It's bright pink, so it's very matches my earrings and my shoes.
It's your whole vibe. I love
The whole vibe. And the Stanley. That's me.
Yes.
Um, so I wrote Sparkle and Grit really with the parent, like the working mom in mind. I think that it can work fine for the working dad too, but I think the working mom is going to jive with it a little bit more. And really, I wrote it for the Wendy who existed 10 years ago. So 2015, if we look at 2015 Wendy, like I wasn't always so like bubbly, in 2015, my life looked perfect on paper. So perfect on paper meant, I was a partner of my firm. I had the big house, 2 dogs, 2 kids, married. My income was about what I thought it should be, and everything was great on the outside. And I felt like 50 Shades of Grey, not fun kind, on the inside. And and I think every mom feels similar to this. Like you wake up, you're like, this is my life. Like what? How am I here? Like what's going on? When their youngest is 18 months. So that's what I've seen pretty much across the board. Someone has like when your youngest child is 18 months, 2 years old, and you're done having kids, like you start to wake up and like look around. And so it's the guidebook for her like, okay, I think I'm waking up and I lost me. I don't know who I am anymore. I need to find her and I need to like kind of crawl my way out. It's for her because these are the steps that I took, to get myself out of that hole back in 2015. And that's it. So it also has it has grit work. So I make the reader stop and do what I call grit work, which is homework, to again, like better herself. So it's personal development. It's funny. It's chatty. It's a story. I've been told it's a very fast read. And I don't know, it's my way to make other women or help other women feel like seen, known, heard, and know that life can be better than it is now.
Yeah. We love that it's just an honest take, right? You're opening
Mm-hmm.
up a conversation again that is not commonly had. It's like when you reach that pinnacle for anybody, like everything's perfect. We've got the 2.5 kids and all of the things, but when you start to realize that's not enough, again, many times we don't even acknowledge that. We're afraid to acknowledge that. We're certainly not going to say that to anybody else, probably, let alone
Right.
ourselves. So kudos to you for being brave enough to like provide a way for people to start having that conversation with themselves, and then maybe beyond that, because that's going to help somebody else.
Right.
And we shouldn't just pretend like everything is fine, because that's how you end up crashing out,
Yes,
It
10
is.
years
absolutely.
after that.
Gosh,
Like,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Like the level of perfectionism that we don't even know exists within us is unreal. And I'm discovering that about myself right now again, because we keep shifting and shifting and
yeah,
shifting as
Yes,
women and
yes.
moms.
We pick
And
different things up and put them down, and yeah.
I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was a perfectionist about this. Oh, I didn't know. Like can I say like
yeah.
a personal, so like as you both know, like I'm also recently separated and going through divorce. So fun. And I will say going through it as a divorce attorney, totally different vibe. Totally different vibe. And
Yeah,
I'm looking at it all differently. But it's like this level of perfectionism that I've put on myself to have the perfect divorce, and be the perfect mom and be the perfect co-parent. And it's unreal.
yeah.
It's unreal. And
It's
it's just
exhausting.
it's so exhausting. And again, with litigation, again, another reason why litigation drives me bonkers is parents are expected to be freaking perfect. And you are literally put like on trial, like which is on trial, like put on trial because, oh my gosh, you forgot to sign the reading log. What is wrong with you? Or you forgot lunch one day. You were late to school one day. Oh my gosh. This is what you're getting cross-examined on. And it's like,
Yeah.
guess what? Life is lifing. Like things will
Yes.
Right,
happen. Like
It
right.
it's
moves
just,
fast.
it
Yeah.
does. Like people are not perfect. And I'm realizing more and more, and it's something that's always bothered me. It's just this level of perfection that I think the system expects of us that it's
It's impossible to
impossible.
deliver. You can't
Yeah.
absolutely deliver that, and especially
It
during a
is.
time when you're dealing with so much more than you're used to dealing with. It's
Yeah,
Right.
there's just so many. It's not happening in a vacuum. Like
yeah,
And
the rest of the life, your life is still happening.
I
and it's
know.
the same construct that we apply to marriage too.
Yeah.
That's also
Mhm.
supposed to be perfect. The perfect wedding, the
Yep.
perfect this, the perfect,
It's so
like
stupid.
the
Like,
life
I
isn't it so
know it
after it.
really
stupid?
is.
We got to
Isn't it
disrupt
so-
perfection
Yes,
is what
Yes,
the
that's a new
actual
tagline. Disrupting
disrupt
perfection. I love
perfection.
that.
I know that
Yeah, I
that'll
right.
be
love
like our
that.
our
And
sub
it
thread.
and it needs to flow up. It needs to flow up, meaning the lawyers need to know this, like the judges need to know this, like it
Yeah,
needs to flow up. I mean, certainly therapists are talking about it, right? Because they're helping us break these perfectionist patterns, but it
yeah.
needs just to be more widely accepted, I think. So,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And being comfortable with maybe what's messy and breaking things apart again, another to put it back together, right, in a
Yeah.
way that, is going to be imperfect, but kind of imperfectly perfect.
Yes.
So well, we appreciate your time. Will you let everyone know where they can find you, follow you, because you are multi-layered and dynamic, of course, and all of your gifts. So share all of that so the people know.
All right. So easiest, I'm here on the Instagram, so please follow me on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook, but you'll see most of my content here on Instagram and LinkedIn. Especially if there's other professionals listening and want to like collaborate in some way, LinkedIn is probably a great way to hang out. And then my book, Sparkle and Grit, is on Amazon. Well, I should probably put that in the notes. Maybe I can do that after. So my Sparkle and Grit is on Amazon. It's the easiest way to get it. But yeah, if anyone has questions, I would love to answer them, chat with them, spread the word about collaborative and or just hear different divorce stories that are out there. Because that is going to be my next book. I just have to write it. Sparkle and Grit for the Divorcing Parent is the next
Okay.
book.
We love it. We love
I
it.
love it. Oh, I also will need to mention, just so everyone knows how legit you are, that in a random Reddit post about divorce in Maryland, someone was like,
Favorite.
I don't know who needs to know this, but Wendy S. Meadows is the real deal. Girl,
It's
that was
true.
amazing. And I was
Oh,
like
I love
reading it
it.
like, oh my gosh, I know her. So,
Mike,
Yes.
yeah. There's an amazing one. My favorite review ever is on Reddit. Like I didn't know I was on the Reddit until like lately, like someone told me and I started
yeah.
looking. And my son's like a big Redditor, so I don't know. But like it was Wendy played, and it must have been a case I was still representing someone. 'Cause I really don't do moms, dads, husbands, wives anymore unless I know it's amicable. Like Wendy played nice and da 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 da. But then when my ex started getting messy in the sandbox, the gloves came off. It was like it cracked me up, And
Yeah.
I'm not but I stand up for my client, right? I'm not going to be
Yeah.
rude, but I will get really. You guys
Yeah.
haven't seen like strict, firm, stern Wendy. Like she's
Yeah.
Yeah.
you want to
We
mess with
know.
her.
Yes.
But oh, thank you. That means a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. We just think you're great. So keep
I
on
think you guys are
keep
great.
on being wonderful, friend. And thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Yep.
you, Wendy.
Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
Brian. You
Bye,
guys too.
everyone.
Good seeing you.
Bye.